Come Follow Me 2024, the Book of Mormon for the Harkers Island Ward. How Our Story Witnesses Theirs. This is Lesson 2. Elder Hansen meets Elder Telford and proves himself. The scriptural theme for today's lesson is 1 Nephi chapter 17, verse 13. And I will also be your light in the wilderness, and I will prepare the way before you, if it so be that ye shall keep my commandments. Wherefore, inasmuch as ye shall keep my commandments, ye shall be led towards the promised land, and ye shall know that it is by me that ye are led. Last time we learned of the arrival of Elder William Hansen in North Carolina in 1897, and of his initial assignment to serve near Goldsboro. We also learned of his embarrassment when called upon to offer his first sermon, and of how his capacity to serve as a missionary was challenged by one member of the congregation, a recent convert and former Baptist minister, Moses Green Todd. That story concluded with the encouragement he received from other missionaries and of a prediction made by the senior missionary serving in the area, Elder John Kilpack, who promised that he would, quote, confound the words of Brother Todd, unquote. There would be several more humbling experiences for the baby preacher in the coming months as he gamely struggled to become an effective missionary. Only 2 weeks later, back in the town of Smithfield, he was told by several members who had heard him speak that they didn't believe that I, Elder Hansen, would ever be able to preach, and suggested it would be well for me to return home and study and learn something about the gospel. One man told me he didn't think it was hardly right for me to come out here and practice on the people of the South in order to learn how to preach. As might have been anticipated, Elder Hansen was not sent home. Instead, just a few weeks later, he was assigned a new companion, and together they were charged to go all the way eastward to the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. By the last day of that year, they were on a barrier island off the coast of North Carolina and in a fishing and whaling community called Diamond City. By the time they left there, they had laid the foundation of what eventually would become the Harkers Island branch and later the Harkers Island ward of the Morehead City, North Carolina State. The descendants of the people first taught by Elder Hansen and his companion, Elder John Telford, remained the bedrock of what is one of the longest-standing congregations of Latter-day Saints in the southeastern United States. Several months after leaving Diamond City in the summer of 1898, Elder Hansen found himself again in Goldsboro, and at the very place where he had felt so humiliated just 1 year earlier. And just as had happened a year before, he was again in attendance at a conference of elders held at the home of Moses Todd Green. But on this occasion, the young missionary from Utah was no longer the inexperienced newcomer of 12 months earlier. Rather, he had been seasoned and mature during a year of service in the mission field. His performance as a speaker was barely recognizable by those in the group of more than 100 who had been present on August the 25th, 1897. According to Elder Hansen's own account, I forgot about my notes and for an hour and 20 minutes spoke as I had never spoken before. I spoke of the mission of the prophet Joseph Smith and of the coming forth of the Book of Mormon. I had not talked long before Brother Todd, who was sitting in back of me, arose and sat down on the porch in front of me with his eyes focused right on me. Tears were running down his cheeks. When I had finished, Brother Todd jumped to his feet, and with tears in his eyes, he apologized to me and to the Lord for what he had said to me a year ago. He said, "My friends, if I had never had a testimony of the gospel before, hearing Elder Hansen talk would surely have given it to me. I know now that Elder Hansen is a servant of the Lord, and that God's servants here on earth made no mistake when Elder Hansen was sent into the mission field.